Moi Kaiki, hello all, and welcome to the Finntegration Society. I'm glad you are here. My name is Dale, and I am an immigrant. Today's video will be a lot less serious than the preceding ones, but no less important. This episode is about shopping, for groceries specifically. I know I said I would try to move away from using scripted content so much, but I just feel that I do a better job of providing relevant content for my 6 viewers if I focus my thoughts and process, and writing stuff down is how I do that. But I will try to pick up the pace and be less serious, promise. Anyway, there are only 2 major grocery chains here in Finland, S-Market and K-Market. Together, these 2 companies control about 85% of the grocery supply chain. This is not too much different than in the US, except that major chains there tend to be regional in nature, as in a few chains dominant in the South, a few in the West, and so on, whereas here the dominance of these 2 is nationwide. There are ups and downs to this, of course. The products you will find, the packaging, even the store layouts and merchandising will all feel familiar, whether you are in Helsinki or in Lahti, with the only difference being that larger towns will have larger markets. Typically, if there is an S-Market, there will be a K-Market nearby. Although they don't really seem to be competitors, in that the pricing in general seems to always favor the S-Market. S-Market prices are about 15 to 20% cheaper, although sometimes the K-Markets are more conveniently located. And since many Finns do not have cars or driver's licenses, you may find walkability to be worth the price difference. If you do have to carry your groceries 6 blocks versus 2, you might choose the closer market for that reason. But us poor folks will walk further or take the bus if needed to save the money. This is why having a bus or transit pass can be a good idea, because then you don't worry about jumping on and off a bus just to go a few blocks, as you would if you were paying full fare. Bus passes can be a really good deal, and I'll talk about transportation options in a future episode. Some markets are even located on the ground floor of the building that your apartment might be in, or the one next door. How convenient is that? I lived upstairs from an S-Market for 5 months, and this particular one was open till midnight 7 days a week. My daughter and I could just pop down on a munchie run and be back in the flat in 10 minutes. It was almost too easy to stock up on freshly baked croissants, delicious Finnish candy, and even some actual food once in a while. So if you don't drive or don't plan on getting a car, you might want to consider the location of your prospective apartment in relation to the nearest market, and make sure it is either close to where you live or close to a transit stop. As in much of the EU, I think, most people in Finland do not make giant shopping trips once every couple of weeks or monthly, but instead will go to the market once or twice a week. A lot of this has to do with the freshness of the food, I think, because it is of generally much higher quality here, with fewer preservatives and chemicals. This means your fruit may have spots or bumps, or your bread will not keep for 2 weeks, but this is a positive, not a negative, once you get used to it. Plus, if you are walking about, you don't want to schlep 25 kilos of stuff around all the time anyway. The variety and selection of produce and other goods will be less than you are used to, but as I said, the quality will be higher. Some things will even be packaged that you are used to bagging yourself, like grapes, for example. There is no sampling of grocery products allowed, and in general, you should not drink or consume any food item while inside the market, as it's not commonly done here. Also, some products simply won't be available occasionally. Iceberg lettuce, for example. Sometimes there just isn't any to be found. Get over it and get used to it. Making a salad? Use romaine or green or some other leafy stuff. You will live to make salad another day. Or just go without it. This is not the US, where shelves are stocked with countless terrible, cheap, low-quality foods from faraway places, sold by people who could not possibly care less if you like or don't like the product, or whether it's good for you or not. I think the grocery buyers here will simply pass on something that is not up to standard, and this does not bother me one bit. It was mildly annoying at first, but then you find your culinary repertoire growing and developing along with your palate. Another major difference you will notice here is that you are expected to bag, weigh, and price your own fruits, vegetables, and baked goods. It takes getting used to, but is easy to understand, and after a while you will even learn the native level hacks, like putting multiple produce items in one bag with multiple price stickers. For example, an onion and a clove of garlic in the same bag with 2 price stickers. The cashier will appreciate it, and the environment will too, since you are only using one bag instead of 2. The way this works is you select the item, say a tomato, and take note of the item number found on the price tag. Bag your tomato, take it to a nearby scale, weigh it, and enter the item number. A bar-coded sticker will print out with the correct price. The abundant and freshly baked goods you will find here are also purchased similarly, except you do not weigh them. You take them to the scale after selecting and bagging them, then you will enter the quantity of the item followed by the item number. Then a bar-coded sticker will print out. So you would enter quantity 3, item X, for example, and the sticker will print out with the correct items and price. Stick the label on the bag, and off you go. This is a great system, but it really only works, I think, because here in Finland, people are assumed to be rehellinen, or honest. In the US, the opposite is assumed. If someone puts a €4 a kilo Honeycrisp apple in a bag here, it is expected they will select the Honeycrisp price when they weigh and price it. In the US, the opposite assumption, that you will price the expensive apple as if it were a 50 cents a kilo local apple, would be the default. Thus, the cashier must visually verify and check that you are not stealing, as it would be assumed you are if they were not watching you. On that note, don't steal. It's not cool. It's dishonest. It makes migrants look bad, when most of us are not that. It is expected that you will be honest in your dealings in Finnish society. It does not matter if you are at the market, at someone's house, on the job, wherever. The assumption is that you are a good, honest person, like 99.99% of all Finnish people are. Mistakes do happen. For example, I once had a sale item that was priced incorrectly ring up as a 6-pack for the single item price. Obviously, the cashier did not notice it, but I did when I got home. I just paid for a 6-pack and took one item the next time I went shopping. Too easy. Didn't even raise an eyebrow. I didn't make a dealio out of it because being an honest man doesn't make me special. It just makes me Finnish. And not calling attention to the cashier's mistake doesn't make me a good man. It just means I am not a jerk. Everyone makes mistakes, and to err is human, but to forgive and forget, now that is divine. Most of the products you are used to are available and can be found, but they will be marketed differently than you are used to, usually to reduce packaging waste. It took me 6 months to find Parmesan cheese for my pasta because it is not found in a green can next to the dry pasta as it is in the US. Also because I'm a man and I do not ask for directions. Instead, it is in the dairy case next to the rest of the cheeses. Makes sense if you think about it. Cheese is stocked with cheese? What? Yes, it's also in a little plastic bag, not a can. No matter, it looks and tastes as expected when applied to pasta, and the container waste that will be generated is next to nothing. Also, you will find many products labeled as American style for some reason. My joke is that this usually means the product is fat and salty. Get it? American style? Well, I think it's funny. Anyway, bacon, or pekoni as it is called in Finnish, will be about 25% more expensive because it is American style. I actually prefer the regular Finnish style pekoni. It tastes just fine and is cheaper. It's very lean, so I usually add butter to the pan so it cooks evenly and doesn't stick or burn. There is no Thousand Island salad dressing that I have found, but there is an American style burger sauce, which is, you guessed it, Thousand Island dressing. It's also much cheaper by the gram than other dressings, inexplicably. There are mega versions of the S-markets here, known as Prisma markets. They are similar to Walmart supercenters in that they sell everything from groceries to deli to batteries, clothing, etc. Another advantage to shopping at the Prisma and S-markets is that they are part of the S group of companies, which includes a bank called, can you guess? S-Pankki. The advantage here is that if you bank with S-Pankki, you will get a rebate of up to 5% of your purchases refunded to you each month, similar to cashback credit cards in the US, with the difference being that you are using a debit card and not a credit card, and not only are you paying no fees for your bank account, you are actually being paid to use the card and to shop at S and Prisma markets. To make this even sweeter, other merchants like restaurants or bars have agreements with S Group to credit purchases that you make in their business toward your bonus accrual, so it can be a pretty good deal for you in many ways. I'll cover banking and finance in more detail in a future episode, but many people do use S-Pankki for this reason, especially since, as I said, S-markets are already cheaper than many alternatives. There are other markets you can go to, of course, smaller specialty type stores where you will find ethnic food choices like Asian and Mexican, and there are even American-style stores that will stock unhealthy, delicious, and expensive stuff straight from America. If you are jonesing for a tiny jar of Skippy peanut butter and have an extra €12 burning a hole in your pocket, that's where you go to get it. A German company called Lidl also has many outlets here, typically at least one in each town. They have good prices and also some specialty items not available at the larger chains. I find myself spending more money at Lidl simply because I always seem to find exotic, fancy, and expensive items like barbecue sauce at €5 a bottle and so on. So I avoid shopping there without a short list and a budget. I was going to cover ridiculously cheap food items along with ridiculously expensive items in this episode, but I've droned on long enough, I think, for this video, and I'll do an episode on those items soon, I promise. Thank you for joining me here at the Finntegration Society channel. If you got something useful out of this video, you can always buy me a coffee at Ko-fi or Patreon by following the links in the description. If you have a specific question for me, and you do buy me a coffee, I guarantee a response. Check out the other videos on this channel, especially the first 9, and if you are ready to start planning your Finnish migration journey and want to have your own personal migration consultant, message me at fintegrationsociety@gmail.com. Please like and subscribe, of course, and tell a friend. It really helps me to grow the channel, and it encourages me to make more high-quality content for you. Thanks again for joining me and listening to me tell my stories. I look forward to one day saying to you, Tervetuloa Suomeen. Welcome to Finland.